Continuing on in the Amazon KDP series, just when you thought that we were done, we're still continuing on with this one. And this is a big deal every single year around the holidays. Authors are seeing a significant increase in sales. And why? Because people are more apt to part ways with their hard-earned money to get some gifts for the holidays. And you should too. So we're actually going to be talking about the best KDP marketing strategies for the holidays. Make sure you stay tuned to today's podcast. What's happening, folks? This is Dale, and I'm just tickled to death you took a little bit of time out your day to spend a little bit of time with me to talk about my favorite thing in self-publishing books. And you know what, folks? I say that a lot, but I genuinely mean it. We're right now on episode 170. And I do have to thank a number of sponsors out there for making this happen, and you, the listeners and viewers, for making this happen, and also for the fine folks over at Uscreen, who this podcast is brought to you in part by them. Level up your content marketing game, folks. Sell more books and expand your brand through the power of the #1 video on demand platform for video monetization. Easy for me to say. In fact, Uscreen is one of the platforms that I currently use for the Self-Publishing Hub. Haven't officially announced it yet, but you can always go take a look at it at the selfpublishinghub.com. Or if you've got Apple, you can go to the Apple Store and take a look at the Self-Publishing Hub. Now, combined, Uscreen customers are already making over $100 million per year. You can get a 14-day trial of Uscreen when you visit dalelinks.com/Uscreen. That's U as in the letter U, screen. So again, that's dalelinks.com/Uscreen. Get yourself a 14-day trial and see why I am a big fan of them. All right, so let's back it up a little bit. I said, okay, what are the best KDP marketing strategies for holidays? But I want to get a term thrown out there a lot, and industry insiders know this term, but people that are new to the business may not be familiar with it. And that's the term quarter four, or Q4, some people will say. Now, when it comes to sales and business, the year is broken up into 4 different quarters, okay, meaning 3 months at a time. Quarter 4 reflects October, November, and December, the time where people are more apt to spend money. So with that being said, the holidays equals more spending. So this is why you hear some people saying, preparing for the quarter 4, preparing for the holidays, things like that. It's for good reason, because you make more money during that time. In fact, here's a little bit of stats I dug up from a CNBC report that actually stated that in quarter 4 of 2021, Amazon had profited $137.4 billion. That's a 9.4% increase year over year, according to the CNBC report. Now, as a side note, here's something that will send your eyebrows. A lot of people don't realize Amazon's in the business of making money, and one of the other vehicles is through Amazon advertising. Yes, you will end up selling some products through Amazon advertising, but there is ways that you can access it as a seller or vendor in Amazon as well. But they made $9.7 billion, okay, in 2021. $9.7 billion. That's a 32% increase year over year. Wow. So it just goes to show all these avenues makes a lot of sense. If you really want to make the most of your holidays, what's the best marketing strategy? So what I'm going to say is this: start with where you're at. If you're brand new to this business and this is your first year jumping into this, don't feel overwhelmed. Don't feel like, oh, Dale says I have to make sales, and if I don't make sales, something's wrong. That's fine. We can still apply that rule, but I want you to kind of give yourself some space. Now, if you've been in this for a while, you can still start with where you're at. The very first area you need to be starting with is your email list. You do not have an email list, I highly recommend that you get one. Get it started, and you can make it just super simple. Join my email newsletter when you visit xyz.com, and you can put it in the front of your book and in the back of your book on social media. You can knock on your neighbor's door. You could, write it in your lawn with bleach. I don't know, whatever makes sense to you. Just get that email list started, because that is your insurance policy. That is the thing that's going to save you in the event that you become deplatformed for whatever reason. And when it comes to your email list, you need to focus on enticing subject lines. Now, I'm not telling you to be clickbait. You don't need to be putting something over the top, bringing them in, and then, fooled you, gotcha, you're inside this email newsletter. No. Work on those enticing subject lines. And this comes down to something as simple as looking at your open rate for your emails. Are you seeing a significant open rate? 30 to 40% open rate or greater? Or are you seeing something less than that? Because if you're seeing less than that, it's time for you to start cutting some of those emails off your list because some of them aren't paying attention or your subject lines are trash. You're only one Google search away from finding enticing email subject lines. Give that a shot. And also make sure that they're meaningful emails with substance and a point to it. Now, I see some authors that get a little bit hamstrung because they're like, I've got an email list. I haven't emailed them in a long time because I don't know what to say. That's exactly the problem. Why did you get them to sign up for the email list anyways? Because they want to know more about you. Start to share more about you. So that way, when it comes towards the holiday time and you come out with your hands saying, go buy my latest Werebear Shapeshifter romance book and it's available over here. Well, then they're going to be like, you know what? This person's been giving me value all year long. Of course, I'm going to go buy this. Now, of course, all this can be reduplicated over on social media. It's just same thing. Go out there. Put together posts that are enticing to people on the given platform. Engage with those people and your followers. That way, when it comes time for Q4, you're ready to rock and roll. Also, what I want you to consider is a holiday-specific pricing. It's coming to the holidays. I'm not telling you to jack up your rates. I see some of you out there that are like, it's the holidays. I can sell my book for $29.99, even though it's usually $14.99. Come on now. Come on, don't be that way. I know they're going to end up buying your books, but what I would say is put together holiday-specific pricing, but don't make it the whole 3 months, all right? Because there's nothing enticing about that. And people are going to become accustomed to seeing a lower price point from you year round and think to themselves, well, I'll just go buy this later. Focus on a set date and time. So that way you create a sense of urgency in getting a lower discount on your book during the holidays. You don't need to overthink this, but what I would say is put something in place. It could be on your calendar. Say, from the 3rd and 4th week in November, I'm going to go ahead and create a low discount. And then you can go ahead and inform your email followers. You can put it on your website. You can put it on social media. That way, there's more of an enticing reason to purchase your book. People are getting kind of used to it. Gets around those Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. They really don't want to buy your product unless you can compete with the others. And you're competing not with just other books, but also other products and services and companies offering these deep discounts. So get that discount in there if you can. All right, next thing is newsletter swaps and group promos. All right, so let me go ahead. I've talked about newsletter swaps time and again, but it's time for me to go ahead and bring this back up. Newsletter swaps is where you take your email newsletter and you get another author with an email newsletter, and you promote their stuff. In exchange, they will promote your stuff. Typically with newsletter swaps, you can pick a specific day of the week and time and things like that. So that way it's sent out in a logical order. For instance, when you do newsletter swaps, you do not want to stack newsletter swaps all into one day. You want to kind of spread them out. So remember that 2-week deal I was telling you you could probably do. You will want to make sure that you load up a newsletter swap every day of that 2-week special that you're going to do. So that way there's continually traffic being sent to this, because on Amazon, what do they reward? They reward consistent sales. So if you're a consistent seller, then they're going to send more algorithmic love and relevance to your title. So that's why you want to spread those things out instead of loading it up all in one place. Now, there are a number of platforms you can find newsletter swaps through, including Story Origin, BookFunnel. Just search that stuff up. I would normally give you my affiliate links, but you go with a platform that you feel most comfortable with. I prefer Story Origin, by the way. Group promos, I always throw right in with newsletter swaps, though they function a little bit differently in that you get together with other authors. Maybe it's within your niche, or you create something relevant to tie all of these books together. Now with a group promo, you're looking at half a dozen authors, maybe even more, a dozen authors, because you want to make something massive. Because when you do this group promo, all of those authors send a broadcast out to their following. It brings them on into this group promo where there's this huge sale, this huge special on all these different books, and then people are more susceptible to doing it. Think of group promos like newsletter swaps on steroids. It is really something worth trying out. I've heard many authors had some great success with group promos. Again, consider spacing out your swaps and promos so that way they're not all loaded up into one spot. All right, next one here. I've really touted about this for a long time, is looking into the free and premium promotional services that are online. Now, you could sit here and do a Google search and try to find each and every single one of them, but it gets a little bit messy and it leaves a lot of ambiguity because you're kind of like, is this good? Should I spend $10 on this? Should I not? Does it make sense? What I would recommend is there's 4 different resources, and probably a 5th one I'm going to add to this one now off the top of my head. 4 different resources you can take a look at. Go to Kindlepreneur, Readsy, David Gogren, and TCK Publishing. And you can just Google those up and put in free book promotion sites, and it'll pull up their lists that they have. And go through those lists. And you're going to, and this goes to each and every single one of you, you're going to want to make sure you review those lists, and you're going to need to sift through those sites. So for instance, I don't publish anything in romance. So chances are very likely I'm not going to need to use that link. So what I'll do is I'll create a separate spreadsheet. I will pull off those romance sites because it doesn't make sense for my horror books or my self-publishing books, those type of things. And then you're also going to want to make sure that you organize them according to the expenses and what they specifically do and their qualifications, if you will. Because there's going to be some sites that say, well, we want to see at least a average review rating of 3.5 stars or greater. Well, that's all well and good, but if your book is fresh to the market, you probably aren't going to be able to utilize that. So you're going to want to make sure you put a pin into it and come back to it later. So going through and figuring out what are all the qualifications for each one of those sites also helps out. Also, what I would recommend too is do a little bit more research on some of these sites, even though they've been listed on Kindlepreneur, Readsy, David Gogren, and TCK Publishing. Doesn't mean they're endorsing those services. They're just saying this is available. Take a look at it. What I would recommend is if you're going to invest money, find out what's their website. All right. What's their traffic like? If their services is related to, say, social media. So we're going to tweet you out to 3 million followers on Twitter. Okay. Where's their Twitter account? How many followers do they have? And what's their engagement like? I think a lot of people kind of confuse the fact like, ooh, this person has a huge following. I'm going to go ahead and promote to them. That doesn't mean jack squat if they get absolutely no engagement. In fact, chances are very likely you find somebody who has a Twitter following of say like 100,000 followers, but they're only getting like 1 like and 1 retweet for a post. I would say that's a little bit suspect. I would say that's probably not the service you want to go with. So it's going to take you some time to sift through that list because you want to make sure you pick out the relevant sites to your niche and your needs, and also making sure that they deliver what they say they're going to deliver. I'm going to tell you this though, results will vary. You're going to find some services like BookBub, for instance, great service, comes at a pretty good high premium, but it's not always returned the investment for them. And that's why I would say just know that every marketing and promotional service is not going to work out for you. It might work out for quite a few people, but there's going to be some that it doesn't work for at all. So just make sure you do that digging in there. Now, of course, this would not be an Amazon KDP tutorial about marketing and promotion if I didn't at least say Amazon advertising. Get into Amazon advertising, folks. It's dead simple. And actually, if you don't believe me, take the Amazon ad certification courses. There are a ton of them. There's some that are specific just for KDP. They even have some webinars for Amazon KDP authors and account holders. You can find that by going into your Amazon ads dashboard. In the top right-hand corner, there's a question mark. Left click on that. It says training courses. Click on that. You'll figure out the rest of it from there. Take some time. This is what I do every day. I literally sit down and I go through one course. I do one course every single day, and I just go through, and actually it's usually one module from a course, and then I just study this stuff. It's really good. Honestly, I don't see any other course creators out there doing as thorough or as good a job as Amazon Ads did with their certification courses. So here's the deal though. I know a lot of you are probably balking at this and going, I haven't had any success on Amazon Ads yet. Okay, hear me out for just a second. Start with automated targeting. All right. You're just going to do a sponsored product ad to automated targeting. Avoid sponsored brands and lock screen ads. In fact, even in the Amazon Ads certification courses, they even say sponsored brands and lock screen ads have a focus on awareness, not necessarily for driving sales. To a certain extent, sponsored brands does, but lock screen ads is all about building awareness more than driving sales. So you've done the sponsored product automated ad, scrape the search terms report every day if you can, at least weekly if you can. What you're going to want to do is purge all the low converting or irrelevant targets in your campaign. At the campaign level, you're going to hit it at the negative targeting. I feel like I'm repeating myself because I was just telling this to the live audience here. So you're going to go at the campaign level as opposed to the ad group level. By the way, if this is clear as mud and you don't know what I'm talking about, go take the certification course. You'll know exactly what I mean. But you hit that negative targeting there at the campaign level. That way, if you do any other automated targeting campaigns for sponsored products, it's going to suppress all of those targets. Then you're not wasting as much of the money. Now, the same instance, when you scrape that search terms report, make sure you're collecting all the high converting targets as well as relevant targets into a spreadsheet. Then what you're going to want to do is build out a manual targeting campaign based on the high converting targets. And you're going to want to make sure that you have about 50 to 100 good targets before you do run a manual campaign on a sponsored product. It gives you much more to work with. That way it can get some kind of traction with these targets that are relevant to you. All right, so that's Amazon Ads. I'm not going to go too far in depth about that one, but here, let's just touch real briefly on something here. There are 4 significant dates inside quarter 4 with a new addition in the mix. This is interesting because this just came out in the last week. So, do you want to ramp up your marketing efforts or pull back? Well, there's a couple dates I want you to avoid. Avoid Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day here in the US. If your markets are outside of the US, then disregard this, because trying to pour a lot of marketing and time and efforts into those 2 days, you're going to find is like screaming into a vacuum. You're not going to hear anything. No one's going to hear you because a lot of people are just relaxing for the day and they're not purchasing many products. Now, do people still buy some products on those days? Absolutely. But it is probably the least amount of sales that I see during quarter 4. If you really want to focus on the areas that make the most difference, Black Friday, that's the day after Thanksgiving here in the US, Cyber Monday, which is the Monday following Black Friday, and to a certain extent, Small Business Saturday, which is the Saturday following Black Friday. Either way, look at Black Friday to Cyber Monday weekend as the area to really target. The new addition, this is big, is the Prime Day for Prime members only in October. Yeah, they just announced this past week that on October the 11th to the 12th, they're running a Prime Day for Prime members only. And this is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of something like that. Hey, as we start to wrap up today's podcast, I want to give a gentle reminder. Get all things related to self-publishing with Dale, including podcasts, videos, blog posts, and exclusive content when you visit us over on Substack at dalelinks.com/Substack. Love to see you on over there. It's free to subscribe, and you're going to get all the details that you need to without missing any last bit of it. My final thoughts. When you go into the holidays with a game plan and goals, you're going to win. But if you don't have any plans and goals, well, good luck. I would recommend that you at least plan to market your book through the holidays. You can't expect Amazon to go ahead and push your products out there if you're not making the effort yourself. So it's your party. If you want to make your party big and fun, invite people over to your party. When Amazon sees that there's a party going on, they're going to send more people over to you to make this party pop. So why not make your Q4 party the best it ever can be? Hey, next week, we're actually going to be diving into Kindle Vella. Oh man, just yesterday, I just launched my Kindle Vella series and I've got some information for you. In fact, I'm asking you the question, is Kindle Vella broke on Amazon KDP? You're going to find out next week. Hey, to get advanced access to all podcasts, visit dalelinks.com/YouTube podcast 1 week before the audio content publishes. Yeah, we do this live Mondays at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Daytime. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.